Good morning, everyone. Thursday morning in Vegas, and still smiling, everyone. It's great to have the opportunity to speak to everyone, and I'm very pleased to be able to be here today. My name's Adam Lewis. I'm from Atos. I'm the Global Product Manager for all things Cloud Foundry at Atos, and I'll be joined with my colleague Ming, who will introduce himself in a few minutes, who will be running some awesome demos for you today. So when we were thinking about what we should be talking about when we were coming to Vegas and meeting so many forward-thinking technologists, it became clear that what we really wanted to call the title was Becoming Platform Epic. And that's what it's really all about now for us. It's about focusing on platform, and that platform being a true enabler to the digital transformation and companies of the future who really want to just focus on the important stuff. And we're quite used to working with companies who want to do that, because those of you who don't know who Atos are, we're one of the world's largest systems integrator and managed service organizations. You can see some rings up there. That's because we'll be running the IT in Rio in a couple of weeks' time, to give you sort of an idea about who Atos are, or I should say Atos, if for our American friends. So we're about an 11 billion euro organization, and we're just shy of about 100,000 people globally. And we work across multiple sectors, and that means that there's government, there's some of the world's largest corporations who we do business with on a regular basis. But why are we here? Well, we've got tens of thousands of software engineers who work in our business. Tens of thousands of software engineers who write code regularly for customers, who have got interesting business problems and solutions they need to truly understand how to solve. But also, at the same time, we've got the benefit of running one of the world's largest private clouds. In fact, we run multiple private clouds all over the globe. However, let me come back to why we're really here. We're here because we've been working with Pivotal for quite some time. Over 2 years ago, we were running Pivotal Cloud Foundry in production, and we continue to run Pivotal Cloud Foundry as an Atos-managed end-to-end service to our customers. Now, we do this because we truly believe in the power of platform. Platform with using Pivotal and the investment that they've made into the Cloud Foundry Foundation, which we are also members of, allows us to, again, focus on the important stuff, and that's what we're going to be covering today. It's about enabling technology to find its place in the enterprise and for it to be consumed without having to worry about the hard stuff, because we look after the hard stuff for you. And that means all of the underlying clouds that you may or may not want to run your Cloud Foundry or your technology on, and there's more that will be added, I'm sure, over time. Now, I'm fortunate enough to speak to many customers, and for those of you who may or may not have a background of reading lovely children's books like Alice in Wonderland, that this quote, I think, is always highly relevant. So, where are we today in the world of IT? Well, I think we can run faster and faster to try and keep up with the business, but sometimes we found that actually you're not making any progress, because the pace of change in our industry means that it's very hard to keep up. That pace of change means that we need to do something different so we can really change the way that we can deliver back to the business, because at the end of the day, it's the business who has a different type of frequency in the market, and we see that with digital transformation. We see that the new business models, the likes of Uber and all of the other great Airbnb type organizations, which people talk about again and again. But how does that really mean for an organization? Where do they start? Where's the best thing that you can do as a business to drive the right change and start moving forward and not just be running and not going anywhere? Well, we were very fortunate to engage with Pivotal and some friendly organisations over the last few years who taught us the Pivotal way. Somebody who just did that walked into the room. Hi, Colin. And we were very lucky that when we were investing in building Pivotal Cloud Foundry capability, I myself made sure that the team who work with me are embracing that technology from the get-go. What that means is we use pair programming, we do XP, we do test-driven development. We use all of the techniques that you'd expect from a small, lean startup. But hey, we're one of the largest systems integrators in the world. So there's a bit of a cultural shift that you have to get past to really start embracing those things. But from my perspective, and when my job is to run great platforms for people, I said my team will be a true DevOps organization. So I've got teams split all over the world. However, if they write it, they run it. Now that is quite scary for some developers or engineers to get their head around, but what it means to us is that if you're going to be involved in writing great code, then we will do the swap the pairs into or out of support for the customer organization as well. That means the customers love the amount of awesome support they get because they get a first-time fix. There is no chucking stuff over the wall anymore and then hoping it will work the other side. The people who are running the platform are the people who wrote the platform and vice versa. And what we're doing now is we're extending that in the approach that we're taking with customers, because changing the applications of an organization, in particular when some of the organizations we're talking to and have been our friends for many years have had, let's say, thousands of applications, that now they're saying, what do we do with this asset base, this cool bunch of stuff which, looks a bit like a galaxy? Where do you start? There may be some stars out there that you use and are great candidates for transforming into a next generation type of software based on 12-factor apps, based on Spring technology, microservices, and implemented on great platforms. But they want to do this without worrying about infrastructure. They want to do this in a way that means that as a business, they focus on writing beautiful software. Now, we want to help organizations to create beautiful software that means that when they're going through the process, not only is it are they using the right techniques, but they have a way to deploy that software, not once, but continuously, wherever and whenever they want to do that, assessing the best places to run the software, and know when they're running the software, they can trust it will run. They can benefit from the underlying platform technologies like auto-scaling, the ability to do self-healing, the ability to really get the logs and metrics you need from the underlying platform, and that's what we're focusing on. Don't worry about installing platforms. Don't worry about managing capacity. Worry about writing beautiful software. Let us take care of everything else. And that means that we can finally make multi-cloud a reality. As a business, we're seeing a shift as well from a private cloud into the public cloud. It's not as fast as people are making out. I'll tell you that now. There's plenty of organizations out there who will still want to have their servers because they're quite warm and quite nice to hug. And those organizations as well will also have to embrace the idea of platform. And that idea of platform, that idea of automation, that idea of really transforming the way that we write and deploy code. And that means that when we talk about application transformation, have a good methodology. What we've done is we've created a decision factory where you can identify and profile apps. And that means that usually when you write apps and you look at the tens of thousands of apps that some of our customers have, this is the face that most people will look at. It's shock. Yeah? What do you do? Where do you start? How do you begin? Where are the right candidates? Well, you have to profile them, you have to have a right methodology, and you have to deploy that. And when you deploy that, do great DevOps. Think about DevOps and think about how the application is going to run from the get-go. Then you can look at more like this. And notice he's on the beach as well, so obviously he's on holiday because all the apps are running perfectly on the platform. So I suppose the main message that I've seen in the work that I've done with Pivotal and Cloud Native over the last few years, and why I'm so passionate about Pivotal Cloud Foundry, is that it's greater than architecture and platform. It's greater than technologies and tools. It's more important and greater than operations and management, and it's definitely more important than a single software language. You've got to also get the culture right. And that culture means that you can pull all of these things together in a way that empower DevOps. Now, what we're seeing now is people have jumped into the world of wanting to consume platform. But what we're going to show you as part of the demo in a minute is the fact that you need to get the tool chain right. You need to have, as part of the DevOps or the software lifecycle experience, you've got to make sure you understand what a pipeline is, what continuously deploying apps means to a business, what it means from an organization to have proper control of the IP they are creating in software repository. It doesn't just mean you have someone with a Git running. It means that you have to have a well-defined process that you can use again and again. And then if you do that properly, your code can be written once and you deploy it wherever and whenever is best place for your business, depending at the point in time. And that doesn't just mean, by the way, deploying to more traditional systems. When we talk about deploy anywhere, we mean deploy to bare metal, we mean deploy to virtual machine, we mean deploy to container-based technologies, but also deploy to instant runtimes like Pivotal Cloud Foundry. Not all applications will need to go onto a cloud-native application platform, and we realize that. So you need to have a methodology and tool that covers all of the aspects end-to-end. And we do that by deploying applications continuously and focusing on the coding. I can't say that enough. If your developers are not thinking and focusing on the code, then you're wasting cycles. Have somebody who knows how to run great platform for you come in and help you to make sure you're installing it right, you've got the right processes in place, you're employing the Pivotal way, make sure that you're embracing the features and functions, and people are educated, because it's not about the old world of J2EE anymore. It's about deploying continuously into production without any roadblocks and deploying wherever you want. So, Ming, would you like to come up here? So we're going to show some demos to put our money where our mouth is just now. And it's a live demo, hence the reason why there's a bit of a shock. And I'll hand over to Ming. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Adam. My name is Ming Zhou. I'm with Atos Cloud Presales. And my focus really in the PaaS, Platform as a Service offerings. I spent a good part of my last 20 years working in financial industry, building mission-critical, high-performance OLTP systems, and in terms of DevOps, I was doing that in the early part of last decade quite a bit, right? So when we talk about designing, development software, that's all good, right? Operating, when we had to actually operate our own financial platform, credit processing, debit card, credit card transactions, that part of life, looking back, when people now really talking about DevOps, that brings a lot of memories. Really, it's not about writing code, right? So how many of you here is computer science background, but had to know every intimate detail about the IP tables or, all those, I remember I had to really learn the dialogue with different IT towers, talking to network groups, storage groups, really how they monitor things, really find out all the governance details. Really, all those, because developers really had to be well-versed in those areas to really operate their own applications, right? So I think time has changed. I really see in the recent years I've switched to working in the cloud area and looking at a lot of automation tools in the PaaS area. See how can we really make DevOps truly a DevOps of really applications, rather operations of data centers. So with that, I'm gonna switch demonstration. I think I have a quick slide trying to explain what we're trying to do here. So here's just a really a combination of a lot of tools we're putting together to make a continuous deployment possible. Right here, essentially, we're using some of our own tools to deploy to orchestrate platforms, meaning we can build up a brand new CI/CD environment from scratch in 10 minutes. So your developer can start checking code, configure Jenkins, and make jobs working, right? Next thing is we can actually deploy, whether that's a full set of VMs in a private or public cloud, or really eventually pushing apps into VMs and Cloud Foundry in a consistent fashion. The goal is once you set up an environment, checking the code, update start to do your development cycles, the deployment of the running environments into whether your dev, QA or production environment should be fully automated, right? So another benefit of automating this is because of the automation, you give your IT governance, which is that you will all have to deal with, ability to have control of that. So if you can automate, have metadata that can integrate in your ITSM system, governance reports, and so on. So they probably really have a much better chance of leaving you alone. So you can really focus on doing all the push without having to getting approvals, because those can be automated. You have the trace of data for that. So today I'm going to focus on so this is our cloud orchestration platform. So to start a new project, I'm going to first start deploying what we call a continuous integration platform. Essentially, it's a blueprint about 5 or 6 software packages. So in this interface, I can say I pick an Azure location, give it a name, then deploy. So I'm just going to kick it off, right? So, and through this process, we actually started by building the VM, laying the software layers on top. Essentially, when it's finished, you have immediately the UI information through all the metadata you can read. You can start to use those as a business tools right away. So here's a pre-deployed instance. It takes about 10 minutes to finish, right? Once it's up and ready, then your dev lead can go in there to start configuring Jenkins jobs, right? So here's a Jenkins system that's kind of being running a little bit using the same blueprints we have. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to an app source code, right? So I'm just say I'm a developer, I'm making some changes. Right, so I'm going to change the web page title. Very simple, right? It is just a Spring app with some GUI template that we're modifying. So next thing, I'm going to just go ahead, commit a change. So I made a change to this header.html file template. Then I'm going to commit. Right? So once that's done, I'm going to switch back to my Jenkins environment and kick off a build. So this has already been pre-wired, right? So what it does is this one you use Gradle. The source code is actually open source code base called Spring Music. You can find it in the Cloud Foundry repository, right? So this is originally designed for Cloud Foundry push. We actually modified it so it can actually work in your traditional like deploy as a word onto a Tomcat runs on a VM explicitly, right? So you can really run the same app on both traditional stack and on Cloud Foundry. In this demonstration, we're doing this build. Once the build is done, we have 2 jobs. Once the build is done, it will trigger one push to Cloud Foundry and one push to VM-based traditional architecture. But you will build a whole the legacy stack from scratch, all the way from you pick your cloud, you build the VMs, lay out the middleware on top, deploy the war, and bring it up. And it will, including configuring all the networks, right? The key thing is you can have all these tools and expertise dealing with, say, one public cloud provider today. What if tomorrow you're going to switch a the provider? When you have to really relearn all those techniques and skill sets and even change your tooling to keep up with that. By using like our orchestration platform, really provide you with abstraction from all those details and rely on the libraries and tool sets, the plumbing underneath to help with that transformation and even make that transparent, right? So here I'm just take a moment to take a quick look at what this application might look like. So yeah, so this is our blueprinting technology. We basically, as you can see in this, let me switch to a more readable format. Yeah, so this is really a declarative Tosca compliant blueprint definition. So you can see it's not telling you how to make the port open, how to deploy this, how to wire things, right? You're describing essentially your application architecture. Once you describe this, the orchestration engines, of your choice should be able to create this desired state of this application at your choice of target cloud. Right? So this is really the direction we're going, enabling our application teams, so they can really have these reusable assets and start really, even in talking about the cloud deployment, they focus on really the business logic, right? So I'm going to switch back to our Jenkins job. So we can see it actually kick off 3 jobs, pushing to a couple of Cloud Foundry locations when it's composed. And we have this pivotal Cloud Foundry environment that we should be able to surely that when the job kick off, right? So it's really using the beauty of this API integration. Essentially, Jenkins is calling pivotal Cloud Foundry API to make the push of the application, right? So at the same time, on my kind of legacy app, kind of VM-based PaaS platform here, it's automatically deleting my previous application, deleting all the way down to disposing of the VM, and creating this new application. Now it's basically a kind of 2 VMs, one is running Tomcat, another one's running MySQL. Once it's up, because the YAML script we saw earlier, it has the intelligent auto-wiring. So you don't have to deal with like 2 static images. When it's up, you need to log in to the VM, change the IP, right? So the tool is smart enough to find out what's the IP address of the new VM of the database, and inject that into your JDBC string back to the application. That's just a very simple example of how we can use this kind of auto-wiring at the deployment time to make the goal of having a fully running application at the end of the deployment. So it's essentially where we can achieve 0 post-deployment configuration. We're talking about, if you really want to do continuous deployment, production release approved, in the morning you come in, your production environments are already up and running with latest and greatest automatically, right? Then that possibility further enable your ability doing auto-scaling, for example. Really, can you really rely on automatic tool to auto-scale your application cluster, making sure everything's wired, your load balancers are updated accordingly, all automatic, right? So then when the Christmas shopping season comes or Thanksgiving comes, you don't really have to babysit in the way we have seen before. So now, okay, so this Cloud Foundry instance has already been updated. Let's load it. If everything works well as a live demo here, and the title should change to 2016 with Vegas, right? So, and this VM environment probably takes a little bit of time to update. Yeah, we have a couple of minutes. Any question? Yeah, this is basically, it's really wiring with a lot of technology. We're talking about IS Cloud APIs, Cloud Foundry APIs, or blueprint-based deployment APIs. We tie them together using Jenkins, and the Cloud Foundry is coming out with a Concourse. We are actually using Concourse internally already, so we can update this demo probably using Concourse and Spring Boot, right? But those are really just technology application developers should focus on. But the platform can be there to really enable all this automation. All right. So Adam, anything to add?
Thanks very much. So let's go back to sign out. So what we've done now is we've taken ability to do all of the hard stuff, which is wiring all the infrastructure together, and give you ability using pipelines, using the right tool chains to deploy right once, deploy anywhere. So that's why we're saying have your platform team who is able to embrace these sort of tools and technologies, and we're happy to discuss more in the background about what's going on, because there's about 15 different tools running in different clouds around the world in that demo just now. So we can help focus on what's important, and I suppose the main message is do what's do what's great for the company and love your code, because that's what's going to make the difference in the future. Don't worry about the infrastructure. Any questions? Okay. Well, have a great rest of the show, everyone. Thanks very much.
All right. Thank you.